So, welcome to the course Unit 11, the concept of drug abuse, dependent addiction, and detection of drug abusers. So, this is the last topic that we can tackle before midterm examination. So, again, di ba, itong concept of drug abuse, dependent, and addiction as na-discuss ko na siya last week, if you could remember. Pero kasi itong syllabus natin, nag-advance lang tayo. So, para mas smooth lang ang discussion natin today. For today, mag-focus tayo dun sa mismong, identify the causes of drug abuse, recognize the process of detecting the drug abusers, and recognize the profile of a drug abusers. So, dito, pag-aaralan natin kung sino or paano natin madedetect yung mga drug abusers. Malay nyo, yung mga classmates nyo, drug abusers pala. So, because of this lesson, maybe you can tell now if he is using drugs or not. So, the 7 deadly sins are the primary causes of drug abuse. Meron tayong tinatawag na 7 deadly sins or mga pinakapunot dulo. Bakit nagkakaroon ng drug abuse? Number 1 is pride. So, pride means this is the excessive feeling of self-worth or self-esteem, sense of self-importance. Another one is anger. Ayan. Due to anger, unexpressed, deep-seated anger against himself, his family, his friends, or the society in general. Lust. What is lust? This is the burning sexual desire can distort the human mind to drug abuse. Ito yung malaswa or parang ito yung gusto mo lang ng sexual pleasure. Yan, that is lust. And then, pwede rin ng gluttony or parang food trip lang para sa'yo ang pagtitake ng drugs. Or in the lingo of junkies, sabi nga na. Greed, yes, dahil gusto mong yumaman, kaya ka magbebenta ng drugs, kanyan. Diba? Wealth, fame, recognition, as exemplified by people under pressure in their work of art, such as musicians, actors, athletes who indulge in drug abuse. If gusto mo yumaman dahil sa drug abuse or dahil sa pagbebenta ng drugs, or pwede rin naman na dahil gusto mong magkaroon ng magandang outcome yung trabaho mo. Example, yung mga actors natin, dahil para manatili silang gising, ganyan, sa isang movie or taping, yung ginagawa nila, nagtitake sila ng drugs. So, that is greed. Next is envy. Ayan, to get attention from someone as a sign of protest, envy, or sa major cause of drug abuse. Parang, sige, magda-drugs ako. Ayan. And then, laziness. Ayan. Yung tinatawag nating I can't syndrome, incapacity to achieve, the breeding ground of drug abuse. So, boredom coupled with poor self-image. Or tamad ka, mag-drugs ka na lang. Ayan. Wala ka nang magawa sa buhay, magda-drugs ka pa. Lalo kang tatama rin. Ayan. So, those are the 7 deadly sins or the primary causes of drug abuse. Ayan. How can we detect drug abusers ba? Kayo ba? Paano nyo malalaman if yung kasama nyo sa bahay or if yung barkada mo is a drug abuser? Can you give me some example? Kunwari, sa school, paano mo nalaman, ay, nagda-drugs si ganito man? Sige nga, in your own judgment.
Facial
Singkit
expression.
lang, ma'am.
Ano? Facial?
Facial expression.
Expression. Ano yung sa'yo, Janet?
Singkit lang, ma'am. Tsaka lang maluto to.
Singkit lamang, tsaka maluto
Puto
mata.
mag-ice lang.
O, ninuring singkit ka ng pamaluto mata ng Janet de Guzman.
Nil tayag. Kembaw, pita.
Madakal makan yan eh. Madakal makan yan, di ba? Kipyula. Eh, mag-drug siya yung mga itsura. Nakatakal bags.
Lutang laman. Malalim yung panga, ma'am.
Malalim yung panga. Grabe naman yun, malalim yung panga. Dito.
Tapos nalilisik yung mata.
Eh, paano kung malnourished talaga, tapos may sore eyes?
Ma'am, tulala. Tulala.
Okay. So, there are different types of detection of drug abuser. So, detecting a drug user is not an easy task. So, yung mga PIDEA natin, if you wanted or you wish to be one of them, hindi po madali yan. Nakakita na ba kayo ng PIDEA officer na lantad ang FB niya? Yung mga agent? Wala. May classmate kami agent ng PIDEA, pero ang ginagamit niyang FB name is iba. And then also, nakatago siya, naka-private account siya. And then, kung sabi nga niya, hanggat as much as possible, wag na sana siyang tumira dun sa kanila eh. Bakit? Kasi baka delikado, di ba? Kasi there is a tendency na balikan siya. Kung kanwari, ang tawag dito, ang nasagupa niya is big man pala, di ba? Or mga drug lord pala, may kakayahang pumatay yun. So, detecting a drug user is not an easy task. So the signs and symptoms of drug abuse, especially in the beginning stage, can be identical to those produced by conditions having nothing whatsoever to do with drugs. So sabi ko, hindi naman lahat. For example, yung nga, porket singkit ba ang mata, nagda-drugs na. Porket ba namumula ang mata, nakadrugs na. Malay mo, may sore eye siya. So depende. Sabi niya kasi, depende rin. Sometimes kasi those parang nakikita mong symptoms or parang nakikita mong conditions niya are the same things that nangyayari doon sa normal na tao. So it's always necessary to exercise certain prudence, sabi niya, before drawing conclusions. So some judgments may hurt the individual, ayan, if he is innocent, and one may lose his love and trust. For example, pinaghihinalaan mo yung asawa mo or boyfriend mo, nagda-drugs siya. So, pwede yun mag-cause ng mawalan ng trust sa'yo yung isang tao. If he, only after observing calmly and patiently his behavior, appearance, and associations, may one pass judgment and act. So, huwag kayong masyadong judgmental. So, to detect a drug abuser, one should observe the following. Ang dami, tingnan nyo. Neglect of personal appearance. Yung mga, okay lang pumasok sa school ng gulo-gulo, ang buhok mo, ang bagong gising. Ayan. Yung mga nag-drugs, ganyan, wala silang pakialam sa itsura nila. Diminished drive or lack of ambition. Laging tamad, laging ayaw ng gumalaw, ganyan. Reduce attention span. Yung ano niya, yung mismong parang attention or yung concentrate, yung pagka-concentrate niya, napakadali lang. Ayan. Poor quality of schoolwork. Ayan. Impaired communication skills, pautal-utal. Ayan. Less care of the feelings of the others, lessening of accustomed family warmth. Wala na siyang pakialam sa kaibigan niya. Ayan. Pale face, ayan, red eyes, dilation, or constricted pupils, wearing sunglasses at wrong places, napakalamig naman, naka-sunglasses, diba? Yung lamo to, lamon eh. So, change from the active to passive and withdrawn behavior, ayan. Secretive about money, ayan, disappearance of money and other valuables from the house, diba? Baka saan mo dinadala ng pera mo? O yung nangyari kay Michelle, kay Tekla, di ba? Binebenta daw yung mga gamit. Saan niya dadalhin yung mga perang yun, di ba? So, friends refusing to identify themselves or hang up when you answer the phone. Ayan. Yung pag tinatanong mo, nasaan ka? O, sino kasama mo? Sige, sasagot. Ayan. Overaction to mild conditions. Smell of marijuana. Nakaamoy na ba kayo ng marijuana? Ano rin, humit-hit siya ng weed, tapos inamoy mo siya, amoy marijuana katol. Ayan. Smell of marijuana, sweetish odor, like a burn rope in the clothes or room. Ayan, di ba? Symptoms of nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, tremors, muscular aches, insomnia, and convulsions. And the presence of, tingnan nyo, kapag meron siyang ganito, bat from marijuana point. Baka meron siyang ganyan sa bahay niya or sa bag niya. Holders, yung mga pipe clips, o may foil sa bag, ayan, di ba? Presence of leaves, seeds, packets, or linings, rolling papers, ayan, pipes, bong. Nakita na kayo ng bong, diba? Doon sa aking previous discussion yan. Cup syrup bottles, capsules, syringes. Bakit ka merong pang-injection or syringe sa bag mo? Diba? Sa mga ginagamit yan. IMO bottles to treat red eyes. Yan, yung pampatak sa mata para hindi yan color red. Ayan. Devices for hiding drugs like trash cans, soft drinks bottles. Ayan. Presence of other pills like Valium, Artane, and other tranquilizer. Presence of physician's prescription pad in a blank form. Yung physician's pad or prescription pad na wala namang nakasulat. So, ginagamit lang niya yung pangbili ng drugs. Ayan. So, identification of drug abuser. The following markers can help in identifying them. So, we have 4. Change in interest, frequent shifting of mood, changes in behavior, and changes in physical appearance. Let's start first with change in interest. Pag nagda-drugs siya, magkakaroon siya ng change of interest. Paano yun? They lose interest in their studies and their work. Ayan. They fail in school, shift from one course to another, transfer of school of lower standard until eventually drop out. Yan. So, nawawala siya ng ganang pumasok sa school. Laging pa-absent na yan. So, kung dati matalino siya, masipag siya sa school, if nag-take siya ng drugs, ito na yung pa-absent siya. Next, we have frequent shifting of mood. Ayan, mga bipolar, di ba? They are euphoric, masaya lagi, elated, and sometimes even ecstatic when under influence of drugs. Pag nakadrug sila, masaya lang sila. Or sometimes yung tameme lang sila. Ganyan. They come home late. They become disrespectful and they would be indifferent and irritable and even hostile when the effect of drug is warning from the system. So, frequent shifting of mood, ayan na yung paiba-iba sila. Dati, tahimik lang siya, tapos biglang saya-saya niya lagi, tumatawa siya mag-isa. Or, baliktad. Lagi siyang masaya noon, tapos dahil nag-take siya ng drugs, hindi mo siya makausap, And puro nag-iisa na siya. So those are the symptoms or the frequent shifting of mood. Another is changes in behavior. They usually spend a lot. They are usually in a company of known drug users, ayan, in the community. They come home late, they become disrespectful and with self-personal or family values. Changes in behavior, kung dati mabait siya, nakikisama siya sa inyo, ngayon gusto niyang, lagi niyang nakakasama, is yung mga tropa niyang nagda-drugs din. Ayan. Also, nagiging disrespectful na sila with, in their family or even in their friends. Even do sa mga personal or family valuables. For example, yung magbebenta sila ng TV para lang mayroon silang mabili na drugs. So, ibig sabihin, lack of warmth with their family. They don't need or wala silang pakialam kung ano sasabihin ng pamilya niya as long na mas may makuha siyang pera, pambili lang ng drugs. So, that is changes in behavior. And the last one is the changes in physical appearance. Ito, this is very, makikita or notable. Kasi, if they can be seen while still under the influence of drugs, the following can be noted. So, the following can also help in identifying drug abusers. Ayan, the lingo, the presence of linear scar in the arms, forearms, or abdomen, lobule or lever punctured, and some of the males even wear earrings. Ayan, yung mga drug addict. Mahalata mo. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na kanwari matatato yung isang tao, drug addict na. Ayan. Hindi ibig sabihin na meron siyang hikaw dito, drug addict na. Depende. So, yan lang yung mga parang possibilities na parang pagsususpetsyahan mo baka sila nagmumukhang drug abusers. Yung mga walang pakialam sa itsura nila. Tapos, okay lang na pumasok silang magulo-gulong mukha, parang bagong gising. Also, yung mga nagkakaroon ng sugat. Nakita niyo yung pinakita kong picture noon, di ba? From 10 years of using drugs, nagmukha siyang Pepe Smith. Di ba? Dati ang ganda-ganda niya, tapos dahil nag-take siya ng drugs, nagkasugat-sugat yung mukha niya, or bugs, yan. Kasi alam nyo, nag-i-imagine sila na meron silang sugat, and then kakamutin nila yun. So, that is the changes in physical appearance. So, meron ba dyan? Baka may kakilala kayo sa classmate nyo na nararanasan yan. Maybe, malay nyo, drug abuser na siya. Meron ba? Meron ba sa inyo? Yan.
Wala po, ma'am.
Parang ikaw Ikaw yata
Masiyahin lang, ma'am.
Okay. We have the process of detecting the drug abuser. Okay. Detection of drug abuse involves the 5 process, namely, we have 5. Okay. Observation, history taking, laboratory examination, psychological, and psychiatric evaluation. So these are the 5 chronological steps on how we can identify or how can we detect those drug abuser. So let's start first with observation. Paano mo ma-observe yan? Dito. Yan. You will observe this first. Yan. Observations. Ayan. Observations of the signs and symptoms of drug abuse may take relatively a long period of time. Kasi check mo lahat yan. Appearance, mood, behavior, kung nagbago lahat. So, observation of the signs and symptoms of drug abuse may take relatively a long period of time. So, good sensory equipment and a high degree of objectivity are requirements for a good observer. To be an effective observer, the observer should not let his own personal judgment or actions affect his observation. So, dito, kapag nag-observe ka, don't use your personal observation. Use your parang professional observation, parang in line with your work. Ayan. Kaya mo siya na, hindi porket pamilya siya ng addict, diba? Isipin mo yung batang yun, addict na din. Kasi kapag ganon, ibig sabihin personal judgment ang ginamit mo. Pero kung gagamitin mo yung pang-own work or parang professional judgment mo, therefore, you are basing your judgment based on the facts that you have, based on the observance that you have tackled or parang nakuha. So, he should exercise care in his observation such that suspected drug abuser is not made aware of being observed. Also, kapag nag-observe ka, yung mga PDEA natin, agents niya, pag nag-observe sila, hindi yan alam. Hindi nila alam na merong agent pala yan. Ganyan. So, syempre, syempre kapag nalaman ng tao na ino-observe mo siya, anong gagawin niya? Syempre, magpapanggap siyang good sa'yo. Diba? Gagawin niya lahat na para hindi mo siya paghinalaan. So, that is the first step, observation. After that observation, you're going to have this history taking. So, what is history taking? Ayan. This is the collateral information in the interview. Okay? Interview with information. So, the best information is from the patient himself. So, but collateral information is necessary. Yung parang, paano mo ma-verify from the other people if totoo nga ba yung ginagawa niyang or binigay niyang information sa'yo. Ideally, a parent or close relative or a close friend should be present to furnish useful details as to the different changes observed in the patient that made them suspect the subject in abusing the drug. These changes may be in his appearance, behavior, mood, or interest. So, added information. If subject barkadas, ayan, are also known as drug abusers in the community, he knows the language of drug dependence. Ayan. Seeing in his room, books, or his belongings, or in his possession, empty bottles, cough syrups, empty medicine files, marijuana sticks, or rolling paper. So, interview with the patient, inquire regarding to the drugs abuse, onset of his drug-taking activity, reason for drugging abuse, or abusing drugs, and how he supports his vice. So, magkakaroon ka ng parang interview with that drug abuser. Ayan. Bakit ka nag-drugs? Anong ginagamit mo? Saan ka kumukuha ng pera? Saan ang source mo? Ilang oras ka nagtitake ng drugs? Ilang araw? Gano'ng kadalas? Gano'ng kadami? Ayan. So, yan ang history taking. Again, number 1 is observation and then history taking. Next, after nun, we have the laboratory examination. Ayan. Ito na yung i-check nila if talagang the-drugs ba siya or hindi through medical examination. So, accurate laboratory examination cannot be performed by any ordinary chemist since detection of dangerous drugs requires sophisticated equipment and apparatus. Ayan. Special chemical reagents and most of all, the specialized technical know-how. Kayo ba nagpa-drug test na? Have you experienced na magpa-drug test kayo? Anyone? Pag nag-apply kayo ng trabaho, kayo, anyone? Sino na nag-experience na nagpa-drug test? Ako nagpa-drug test na. Saan? Before OJT. Kayo din mararanasan nyo yan. Okay? Bago kayo makapag-OJT, magkakaroon ng drug test. May kausap pa ba ako dito?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? Nagpa-drug test na kayo?
Hindi pa po.
Di pa po.
Di pa po.
Do you have any idea paano ang drug test?
Kinakabahan.
Kinakabahan ka? Bakit mo nakakabahan?
Sa buhok, ma'am.
Sa buhok, ano pa? Sa buhok, magdalas ang makikita nila na 90 days. From 90 days. If nagda-drugs ka ba or hindi.
Sa dugo.
Sa dugo din. Ano pa?
Ihi.
Sa ihi.
Ihi, ma'am. Sa
Ayan.
ihi.
Most common na ginagamit nila para mas madali ang resulta, ihi lang. Okay? Ihi lang ang ginagamit nila. Drug test nila. So, pag nagtrabaho na kayo sa specific company, ayan, merong drug test yan for sure. And also yan, bago nga kayo mag-OJT, meron kayong drug test. Kailangan nyo yung drug test na yan. So, siguraduhin nyo lang walang magpa-positive sa inyo kasi alam nyo na ang mangyayari sa inyo. Ligwak. Diba? So, after ng laboratory examination, okay, again, laboratory examination, gagamit sila ng special apparatus dyan. Ito na yung ihi, even in blood, or even in hair. Okay? Then next, we have psychological examination. Ano naman itong psychological examination? So, this phase of drug detection requires the expertise of trained psychologists. Kapag sinabing psychologist, diba, we are dealing with the human behavior. Yan. Teachers, therefore, are not in the position to administer psychological examination among their students. Psychological examination findings will correspond to the general findings of a drug-prone individual. So, there is a certain examination that will conduct by a psychologist sa mga drug abuser. Drowsy or, sabi nga niya, findings will correspond to the general findings of drug-prone individual with drowsy, or lethargic appearance accompanied by scratching and without alcoholic breath. Tendency to giggle excessively, alam mo, tatawa siya ng tatawa, di ba? At things which others don't consider funny, and overactive and overtalkative, or sometimes kabaliktaran, hindi siya nagre-respond. So, that is psychological examination. So, after ng laboratory, we have psychological, it's either intelligence test, personality test, aptitude test, interest test, or psychiatric evaluation. So, intelligence test. The test is designed to cover a wide variety of mental functions with special emphasis on adjustment, comprehension, and reasoning. So, magkakonduct sila ng ganyan. Meron din silang personality test. This type of test is used to evaluate the character, personality traits of an individual such as his emotional adjustment, interpersonal relation, and motivation and attitude. Sa intelligence test, dito tinetest yung IQ mo. Sa personality test, dito yung behavior mo. And the aptitude test naman, ito yung The test is to measure the readiness with which the individual increases knowledge and improves skills when given necessary opportunity and training. Kayo, bago kayo mag-OJT, ayan, magkakonduct kayo ng aptitude test. Ayan. Then, meron din kayong interest test. This is designed to reveal the field of interest that a client will be interested in. Ayan. And the last one, we have psychiatric evaluation. Ayan. After ng psychological examination, the last step is the psychiatric evaluation. What is psychiatric evaluation? It is the process whereby a team of professionals composed of psychiatry, psychologists, psychiatric social workers conduct an examination to determine whether or not a patient is suffering from a psychiatric disorder or may sakit ba siya sa utak kaya siya nagda-drugs. Iba kasi yung inborn na sa'yo na may psychiatric disorder ka, tapos magta-take ka. Kaya yun ang naging rason para mag-take ka ng drugs. Magkaiba siya dun sa, nagkaroon siya ng sakit sa utak kasi nag-drug siya. Okay? Sa psychiatric evaluation, tinitingnan nila if talagang may sakit siya sa utak or wala. If may sakit siya sa utak, tapos yun na tapos nag-cause yun para mag-commit siya ng drugs. Ayan, may sakit yun sa utak. Pero, kanumwari, nag-drug siya, tapos, after niya mag-drugs, nagkaroon siya ng sakit sa utak. Yun ang pinapatunayan ng psychiatric evaluation to know if that person, really has the psychiatric disorder. May sakit ba talaga siya sa utak? Or nakuha lang niya yun dahil sa drugs. Ayan. So, again, what are the 5 steps? Can you enumerate them? What are the 5 steps?
Observation, ma'am. History taking, laboratory exam.
Observation,
History taking.
and then
Laboratory examination, psychological,
and psychiatric. Ganun lang kadali. Okay? Yan ang ginagawa nila on detecting the drug abusers. So, the practical ways of recognizing the drug addict. So, yung for example, yung ginagawa ng mga pulis na kanwari, nagtotokhang sila, that is based from their observation and history taking. Yan. Kapag dinamput muna sila, pero hindi pa sila sinampa ng kaso. Kapag yun, nasampa ng kaso kasi lumabas yung laboratory examination niya, yun na. Okay? Pero yung kanwari, dadamputin siya kasi gato observation nila, history taking, that is yun. Okay? So, practical ways of recognizing the drug addict. So, these are the practical ways. A drug abuser will do everything possible to conceal his habit. Yan. Mga in denial yan yung mga nagda-drugs. Lalo na kung may tinataguan sila. To be able to recognize the outward signs and symptoms, it is equally important to realize that the drug problems are so complex or malawak. Even expert advise not to judge abruptly an individual taking narcotics, diba? Drug, as it could lead to falsely accusing an innocent person. Hindi nila pwedeng sampahan ng kaso yung taong nagda-drugs if pure accusation lang, pure history lang, pure observation lang. Kailangan meron niyang laboratory examination para there's a proof na talagang nagda-drug siya. So, it should also be remembered that a person might have a legitimate reason for processing a tablet, syringe, and needle. Or maybe a diabetic having capsules. They may prescribe a doctor. Siyempre, kung nag-observe ka, bakit ang dami mong turok sa tiyan? Sabi mo, nagtitake ng heroin, nagtitake ng drugs. Hindi mo alam, nagtitake lang pala siya ng ng
Insulin, ma'am.
Insulin.
Insulin.
Diba? Sa mga diabetes. Ayan. So, having the sniffles and running eyes may due to head cold or allergy. Kaya nga sabi ko, porket wari maluto yung mata, mag-drugs na yun. Mahalin nyo, meron lang siyang sore eyes or sometimes naman is, tawag doon, natural lang sa kanya. Meron kasi mga bata pa lang sila, laging namumula ang mata. So, depende. So, hindi mo ma-judge ang isang tao ng isang kita lang. So, kung kanila matagal mo na siyang nakasama, matagal mo siyang kilala, therefore, alam mo na gano'n ang mata niya, hindi naman siya nagtitaking drug. So, unusual or odd behavior may not be connected in any way with the drug use. So, be careful in judging the persons in drug abusing, ha. Hindi lahat ng nakita niyong physical appearances is drug abuser na. Sabi ko nga, hindi porket matatu drug abuser na. Hindi porket madami ang hikaw niya sa tenga is drug abuser na or drug addict na. Okay. They may be suspected kasi lang parang ganun lagi ang nakita ng iba kapag drug abuser. Pero it necessarily mean or it doesn't certainty na talagang drug abuser siya because of that physical appearance. So dapat talaga ang pinaka best way after mong ma-observe or ma-take yung history niya is to conduct a laboratory examination to determine the certainty of he or she was using drugs or nagda-drug abuse na siya. So, based on the lecture by the UX experts, the Doctor of Medicine, forensic chemist at the London International Police Academy, they usually detect drug abusers without too much trouble by means of the following. Presence of drug on the person, which they may try to conceal. Ayan. Presence of equipment for smoking. Ayan. Kapag meron ka ng nakita talagang evidence sa kanya, nasa kanya yung drugs, hawak niya, possession, di ba? They also have the equipment. Ayan, may mga ginagamit siya. Presence of hypodermic needle marks, yung kahit saan meron siyang marka ng paggamit ng heroin or syringes. Ayan. Tracks on arms or various parts of the body. Drug test on the blood and urinalysis. Pwede sa blood, pwedeng ihe. Drug intoxication in the absence of alcoholic smell. Ayan. Dilation of contraction of pupils. Unsteady gait and incoherent speech. Ayan. Loss of mental process, drowsiness and itching. Tendency to laugh at trivial and withdrawal symptoms. And the last one, meron din silang Nalin test. Ano itong Nalin test na to? It indicates an opiate addict. So, it is a small dose of Nalin. It is injected in the body of the suspect. The size of the pupil of the suspect is measured before and after the injection. An addict will show appreciable dilation of the pupil. The drug has practically no effect on non-addicts. So, yung Nalin test, parang ano yung pupil mo ng mata. Kung nag-iba yan, therefore, merong result siya na positive ka. Okay? So, yung mga, hindi ko na di-discuss yung mga different types of tests that they conduct in the detection of drugs kasi pinag-aaralan niya sa forensic chemistry. Tama po ba ako? Di ba may chemistry kayo? Yung na 5 hours nyo? Hi. Hello. Ikausap ba ako?
Yes, ma'am.
So, anong natutunan
Meron,
sa
ma'am.
forensic chemist? So, I will just stop recording this one.